Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Odessa, The Dark Crusade, Season 2. On this fine evening, we have a rather odd cadre of Knights. Araniel, his two girlfriends, and the local third wheel have all met up to visit the palace at the center of Odessa, the stronghold for Odessa's most famed royalty, and also where the prince just happens to make her haven known. As the good Friar Tuck has yet to be introduced to Her Majesty, and as such, Narael and the Tuck probably believe it prudent to at least say hello before the Tuck gets to his dastardly deeds beneath the princedom's eye. And yes, we simply set the scene, as I presume arrangements have been made for y'all to make your approach to the palace.
I mean, sure. Irene would have made appointments on request. So I guess she'll be leading everybody to the office.
Yep, Irene doesn't even need. Irene's influence is so significant that she doesn't even need the ghoul to escort her.
She'll even give a tour.
But Araniel kind of has his wrist bound again to Evie's wrist, so he's just kind of happily walking around like a blind person would.
You mean Narael?
Oh, I'm tired. But yes, he is just walking around with his wrist bound to Evie's wrist. He has his hand on her shoulder at the moment. It's a long length of silk that ties the two together. But he appears to be quite happy. He's smiling, and he seems to be enjoying listening to the tour.
Yep. Irene will even mention, like, oh yeah, this part of the castle was blown away not too long ago. I think they're still doing renovations down the hallways, but, well, if you please follow me, you know. That does seem, I mean, two of these people Irene does not know. But Famoshi might notice that Irene's heart doesn't really seem to be in this. It seems almost like sort of mechanical for her way of acting. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. She'll lead them to the office of the prince. We'll knock on the door.
Before we open the door, is there anything I shouldn't say?
Everything in reference to Islam ever.
Ah. How many Carpathians does it take to fuck a goat?
With the amount of penises the Zamisi can give them, I think one, question mark?
Sounds about right.
Excellent.
Irene does not even facepalm, but she'll wait for the come in, notice, or door opening, whatever.
Heavily armored man will open the door. Prestigious looking arm, by the way. They're not just a simple brute. They actually look quite prestigious and well groomed as they open the door for you. And you're kind of led into some sort of like administrator's room. You think it might be an office for the equivalent of some sort of privy chancellor / advisor figure. Is at the far end of the room, just past a stone archway with a big window as moonlight just kind of gleams in over the desk. This large ornate desk. The prince is just sitting behind it, clothed as she is in the overlay, so she looks quite out of place in terms of her clothing. She looks quite rough around the edges, so to speak, and is barefoot and seems quite casual.
Bishop, before we continue, on specs 5, is there any obfuscated individual in this room?
No.
Okay.
Walking cutscene.
And Ariel will bow in the rough direction of wherever he assumes someone is. It's like, and we bow.
Yeah, Evie would kind of guide him in that, like, kind of nudge him in the right direction, and then give a curtsy herself.
So he's not bowing towards some sort of potted plant.
Precisely.
Man, this is where the Markavian sense of humor would be appreciated.
So you mean to tell me that I've spent the entirety of the you mean to tell me I spent the entirety of the scene talking up a rose bush? Thanks, everybody.
Like, why didn't you tell me? I thought it was quite funny myself.
Madam Prince, first of all, allow me to thank you for the agreement to my elevation as Primogen of Clan Salubri and the recognition of our claims of domain. It is my pleasure to introduce a long-standing compatriot of mine, a healer of prodigious skill and intellect, as well as a brewmaster of no small talent. Allow me to introduce you to the heralded Friar Tuck.
A pleasure, Your Grace.
You know, the prince doesn't actually get that reference, and I don't think it's actually happened yet.
No, it hasn't. He is Friar Tuck. He's not famous yet.
He is the OG Friar Tuck.
Won't
Damn
be
right.
famous for several years.
Though interesting enough, he does have former prince as a flaw.
Mm,
That bastard sheriff.
she kind of raises an eyebrow. She probably recognizes you from your former position. And, she'll just stand for y'all. And she'll go Friar. I presume the reunification of your clan in this city is what draws you to this place?
Yes, about. Also the destruction of my clan back home.
May I ask where back home was?
Nottingham.
You've come a distance, haven't you?
I sat on my ass from China and back.
Well, you're well on your way to a full circle, I suppose. She taps her hands as trying to recall something. I can't quite recall, but your name rings a bell with me.
I once held quite a prestigious position in my former city.
Oh, that's right. You were the prince. Hmm.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah, I didn't like it anyway. Too much paperwork.
You have paperwork? Oh, no, paperwork. Sorry, I think something's knocking on the door. 1 second. Sorry, I swear to God, someone was knocking on my window. They're just knocking very, very loudly on the door. You have paperwork. Since when does a prince have paperwork?
Well, I didn't. I just pretend I did so I can hate the position.
That is one of the more creative forms of self-sabotage I've ever heard.
Indeed, with the fall of my clan came the fall of the position.
Yes, I suppose in many ways we all exist on a cliff edge. Well, you have my condolences. What do you intend to do now that you're here, however? Or are you just travelling through?
Get drunk and piss away the centuries. And help a few people along the way, maybe.
Well, there's no shortage of alcohol in the city, so I think you're set there.
That's true. Not as good as mine.
I suppose we'll see. I always found it odd we didn't have a Brewers Guild here.
Wait, what?
Yes, there's no Brewers Guild.
Then again, alcohol is somewhat taboo for obvious reasons.
This is an issue that must be addressed immediately.
That laugh was totally in character.
I'm curious how the domain is under a praxis conflict, and your main concern appears to be creating a Brewers Guild. Interesting.
I have a lot of concerns. That is just one of them.
I certainly hope so.
We have been doing as we have been bid. We have been hunting Mary the Black. And we have made progress.
I should speak with you on that at some point.
He opens his hands and he says, "There is no time like the present if you are amenable."
No, it's in relation to your offer.
Offer? There have been several.
The one involving the sword.
Ah. Would I be correct in assuming that you have spent most of your on life, Your Highness, in the matter of politics?
I suppose you could say that, yes.
Ultimately, symbols are the most important weapons that we possess against such individuals. Mary the Black was lured out, or rather, she felt herself secure enough to come to the Lasombra's noble ball in person. She bewitched one of the Cappadocians to serve as her thrall for the sheer amusement of it. Fascinating woman. I believe that... I get the sensation that she is building to something, that she is putting the pieces in place, and I think the reason that we have not seen her make her move yet is she still lacks some of the vital pieces to her puzzle. We merely have to determine what that puzzle is.
I think it's a jigsaw.
You do enjoy jigsaws, Tuck.
I do.
He's not wrong, it's very much a jigsaw.
Look, what an interesting ceiling. Because I mean, it's just not saying that, but just, sort of looking away from the conversation.
Enjoying the ceiling, my good Harpy. You fall in silence, unusually so.
I do tend to take the lady's breath away.
I can imagine.
I have nothing to add to that.
Oh, that's a total lie.
Roll for bullshit.
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like you can't really add more to that.
Right?
I feel like that statement says it all.
I mean, I'm willing to roll my subterfuge. It's fine, yo. I have a shit dice before it though, so because Irene usually doesn't lie. And she didn't lie, but you know.
The prince would eye roll, but she's so disdainful of the comment that she can't actually exert the willpower to do so.
Eh.
Okay,
So
we're gonna
wait, so you've now let us. You've now
Alright.
kind of let us do it. You've now kind of let us not. How are we applying all specs to our roll to detect lies?
I mean, you really only need one success because I failed.
I'm talking about like in more general terms, but
Fair
I
enough.
will roll it. So Irene, Tomushi stops and turns, and he says, "A jigsaw. Yes. Irene, is there something that you're not telling us? Do you know why the wishing woman hasn't moved? Or not the wishing, do you know why Mary the Black hasn't moved?"
You presume that I can guess her actions? Funny. No, I do not know.
At which point, Chris, the aura sight is going up. Aura sight.
who you're reciting.
Irene.
Okay.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Minus 1 is 4. 4 successes.
Okay. Well, she's a K-Knight. Oh.
Oh.
Right.
Uh,
Her aura pattern. I'm not gonna bother with the colors because I really like it, but I don't think there's a color for Heartbroken. But that's one of the main colors.
Depressed, maybe?
Sadness, confusion.
Because there's a color for depressed.
Yeah, depressed. That's fair. There's a very small, but since you have 4 successes, I believe you can catch subtle shifts. So there's just a tiny hint of anger, there, but it's mostly depressed, sadness, heartbreak,
no.
and confusion. Like there's a lot of confusion there too.
She's around for a talk. This is normal.
That is
Right.
not true. The duck brings joy to the world.
Unless you're Evie,
Well, good
And
luck.
He is a cure of depression.
really embarrassed.
Tomushi stops and his head tilts to the side, like literally, like it's like he's looking. It's like with those cold, dead eyes that he has. He's looking through Irene in that weird way, and he says, "What is wrong?"
There's nothing wrong that I would wish to share with the current company.
Oh, that's sus as fuck. That's. I'm gonna wait for the prince to react to that statement.
Prince raises an eyebrow. Don't worry, you can use your gallant nature now, because everybody's looking at you.
Am I getting willpower back? Oh.
Isn't this what you want? Isn't this what you wanted? Are you not entertained?
Irene likes to be in the center of attention when there's a ball and she's wearing a nice gown, and not like this. No.
Not when she appears to be a suspect.
Right?
As if she were at some sort of murder scene.
Bishop, just a note: bleeding 4 blood into strength.
Oh Jesus!
What?
The prince kind of waves off this conversation. She just kind of dismisses it with her hand, fairly casually. Like she Mr. Tuck, a good father Tuck. Through the prince's mannerisms, she doesn't appear to be particularly formal or appear to stand on ceremony too much. She appears to be quite casual, which again is very odd.
The Tuck is very relieved.
Also, does he have that lovely hat on?
Yes, he does.
Fine, okay. Anyhow, I can get you what you need.
You can. Good. What is your price?
The one you offered me.
Granted. I assume that you will now immediately use that blood boon for me to execute Herman and Al-Taib.
She kind of she actually considers this for a moment.
And as I would have done so under a or as I would have done so in the repayment of a blood oath, no further debt would be incurred via the domain.
No, not yet.
In that case, I await your pleasure on the topic.
I may need you to assist me at a later date, but not necessarily with Herman. The Noctaib, well. Isabella has claimed ownership over that problem. I'd like to see how she does before stepping in directly.
This young one has a lot of bravery in her heart. Anything
She
is-
does. Despite her resentment of me, I do respect her. Nonetheless. You'll find what you require delivered to wherever you wish it to be delivered to within the next 24 hours. But back to our guest. Do you prefer to be called Friar Tuck or Father Tuck or just Tuck?
The Tuck is fine. I'll respond to any.
She knows how you said V Tuck. Tuck. Well. That is an absolutely lovely hat you have.
Thank you. I use it to tend to my bees.
As lovely as your mood, I hope. Insofar, Nariel has made strides to repair Clan Salubri's image and prestige here. I have a lot of respect for your clan. I hope that you'll do the same. Please do not make me regret bringing in a former prince to this domain.
I'll try. I'll try not to disappoint.
Oh, good friar, I am a venturer. I do not expect attempts. I only expect success. But I do welcome you into the domain. I can only assume you're well accommodated for already.
Indeed. My close friend here has already sorted me out.
That is good to hear. An increasingly infrequent occurrence these nights. Well, I believe our business here is concluded, unless there is anything else any of you would wish to add. She looks to Irene or Evelyn for comment.
Oh,
Do you
no,
wish for me to note down the boon in
I
the Book of Harpies?
Prince.
Yes, please do.
As you wish.
What if that is all?
Indeed. We have another appointment to attend to. So
Yes.
if you permission, we would like to take our leave.
Well, I don't believe that appointment will be taking you anywhere outside of my domain.
Indeed.
Sorry about that. My actual IRL phone rang. What kind of button?
No, the prince basically said if that's all, then Irene said yeah, basically, and that they have another appointment, and then Prince basically just said, well, I don't believe that appointment will be taking you anywhere outside of my domain. So
And Araniel will bow. He will say, I'm currently tending to my new domain, so if that item can be brought to the new building site for the new hospital main building, that is where I'm currently staying.
then I'm sure it's delivered to you safely.
He will bow before he will put his hand on Eva's shoulder.
Yep. Curtsy. Walking backwards a few steps, turning around, walking out the door, going to the next office.
Hey, Evie,
And
you
help
notice
close the room.
Anariel's perhaps a little bit stronger than he was before.
Hmm.
When we're in a corridor, Chris, that has no one in it, Araniel stops and he says something to Tuck in Chinese. He says, it appears as though, unfortunately, I need to administer the test. That is all he says. But he will basically say, Lady Irene.
She'll stop and turn around.
Will
Yes,
you take my hand?
the regent is waiting.
This will take but a moment.
As you wish.
Irene doesn't have the vulnerability to silver flaw, does she?
Nope.
Okay. What he does is he turns his ring around so that there's an odd little symbol that presses into Irene's skin. Because on a side note, Nerael currently thinks you're Mary the Black.
Why on earth would you think that? But hey, okay.
Oh yeah, also everybody feels unwell around Irene because crucifix.
Oh, right, yeah. Crucifix. Sorry, you don't like me. That's fine.
Even if we're like on the road of heaven.
Yes, true faith affects everybody.
Unless you also have true faith.
Yes.
Soon, Bishop. Soon.
Side eye.
But no, we're seeing that it doesn't. What he does is he takes Irene's hand in his, but when he sees that it doesn't affect her, he pulls her into a hug. Because as has been previously said, the Salubri are huggers.
Sure. Yeah, hug. Irene will be hugged.
He says, regardless what darkness or what has you so afraid, you don't have to face it alone.
She'll step back, look at him. It's not saying anything, but will turn around and continue to walk to the office of the regent.
I'd assume we were going to the Regent's throne room.
Whatever place we're going, wherever he has agreed to meet with us, even if it's like at the courtyard, we will go there.
We also might get to meet his lovely daughter.
Who Evelyn already knows.
Yes.
Oh, and Irene will tell everyone that since they all probably now know her name, I don't know, that the regent might know her under a different name.
Oh, that's fine. Tuck, you're going to be on your best behavior, aren't you?
I shall.
You might want to take your hat off in a sign of respect, but that's just an advice.
He just takes the hat. Okay.
Does he feel naked without it?
Not particularly. He feels undefended against bees, though.
And yeah, knocking on whatever door there is that needs to be knocked on.
Yeah, you're here a ridiculous amount of influence. You have free access to the palace as long as you kind of notify people in advance. So you are you know what a regent is. You know he's in this office. You just knock the door. The
See,
regent
it
is
is an office.
He's expecting your arrival. And the door will open, revealing the regent, who I don't actually have a face claim for, although I really wish it was this man, because that would be the best plot twist.
Hello!
But you do notice another individual standing by the regent.
I might want to look at this. Oh, okay, that's good. That's not a face I recognize.
They were just having a casual conversation.
Oh, I need to.
Is it just the two of them in the room?
No, there is another figure, what appears to be another advisory figure, and there should be noted there are a bunch of guards outside, but not inside.
That is 5 successes to aura sight the regent. And I know what his daughter is, but that is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 3 successes to aura sight the other person in the room.
Okay, so the regent and his advisor appears to be entirely normal. The regent, both the regent and the advisor appear to be somewhat calm, with heavy shades of light blue.
Wait, the regent's not a ghoul?
Nope.
Okay, that's interesting. Sorry.
Oh no, wait, he is. I'm getting my timelines mixed up. He is a ghoul. I got my timelines completely wrong. No, he is absolutely 100% a ghoul. The advisory figure next to him, however, is a human. Standard aura. Both of them appear to be calm. You can see that the regent has shades of blue representing love struck, and appears to be somewhat somewhat yellow as well, idealistic. But outside of that, the advisory figure is just entirely blue. Very, very placid aura, to be completely frank. But the young woman, she appears to be has wild crackles in her aura, representing witchcraft or magical capability. with a light blue that quickly turns to lavender as you enter.
What's lavender again?
Basically caution.
Mhm.
But also a bit of violet as well. So some excitement. Pinpricks of it.
I just had this great image of Evie literally walking me in, angling me towards the daughter, and bow. Angle me towards the father, and bow.
Accurate.
Evie is best.
Irene will do introductions. Or I should say Lady Julia Orbellion will do introductions.
The regent looks at you all. He looks at the well, he has his finest habit on. Is that
He does.
there was an attempt. And a beekeeping hat, just kind of being, well, probably held to his chest or something. He looks at you all with a degree of sort of acknowledgement, apart from maybe Friar Tuck, because he looks so out there for what would otherwise be an extremely prestigious gathering / event of meeting him, because he is important. He is the regent. He'll just acknowledge you and he'll say, Lady Julia Rebellion, a pleasure to have you in my presence.
Pleasure is all mine.
Although I must say, you bring with your very very intriguing company.
I always like to entertain. But these gentlemen have a proposition for you. As I am led to believe. They are honorable men, so I thought there was no harm in a meeting. And I am glad that you granted this meeting.
If a lady actually speaks up, and she'll just say, I very much pray for you that these requests are worthy of the regent's time. My father is an extremely busy man.
We believe. I was continue.
No, please go ahead.
We believe that they are. Most noble lady. The head turns in the vague direction of her voice, intimating that obviously he can't see, and he says, and you have my word that though we can see truth, you may see the truth. No, yes, he will say, he looks at her and he says, and you have my word that as I know you can see truth, so too, you know that in truth we only mean your best and the betterment of all. If she has any mystical ability, he is not lying. He is literally here for what he considers to be your best interest.
Yeah. Of course, what a supernatural creature believes that to be is somewhat open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
If I may ask, then, what precisely are you all here for? I would hear your pleas.
Of course. Myself and the good friar here have recently returned from Far Cathay in the east, and the Palm even further east, where we have learned many things and seen many sights and understood many truths and many lies. We have danced under moonlight and seen it all go as the dawn rises, pure and swift. We have come here because with the departure of certain individuals, your city and indeed yourselves are once again in need of a court physician, and myself and my compatriot here are, we believe, the finest doctors that currently reside within Edessa. We would seek it so that you would have only the best of care and treatment. After all, into your hands, you were kind enough to give me the great gift of healing others. I would merely seek it to be the same for your great selves.
His eyes kind of glaze over Friar Tuck briefly before centering back on you. Oh. Were you trying to say something, Evan?
No?
Okay. I think there may have just been some static on your mic then. In which case he'll just say, Master Fumoshi, you carry of yourself quite a reputation. A well-earned one, from what I am told. I trust your words. Because they have been defined, or reinforced rather, by your actions. However, while I would be very grateful to accept you as actually, what religion is Fumoshi listed as in the city?
That's interesting. He's actually down as being Muslim.
Okay, excellent.
Bear in mind, from his perspective, he believes in the nodist principle of God. So he doesn't mind what he calls himself. To him, they're all the same. But for political expediency, he put himself down as Muslim.
Okay, that actually helps. So while I would be most grateful to accept you as both a physician of my court and a clergyman of it, and while I believe that you believe in the abilities of your compatriot, I see them as untested and as such untrusted.
Famushi holds out his hands and he says, "Then may I make a challenge, my lord?" Or may I suggest a challenge, my lord, rather. Not may I make a challenge, may I suggest a challenge?
He was going to say I would be very particular with that word, Master Fumoshi. But yeah. He will gesture with his hands. He's a little bit tense when you talk about suggesting challenges.
For the record, Fumoshi smiles, and he does have a very genuine smile, as he says, "This night, send your men into the city. Send them true to find 3 people whom suffer. with great afflictions of the body, the mind, or the soul, whichever you believe to be the most meritorious, and return them here. And myself and my old friend, he will put his hand on Vartuk's shoulder, will mend them and make them right before the dawn. If you cannot do this, then you may have both of our heads.
Wait, what?
Accepted.
Sorry, I did not that you up.
By the way, the lady's aura is now just violet. She is very excited now.
By the way, Bishop, can I ask, is she the one who the Merchant of Bones brought back from the brink?
Out of character, yes. In character, for she doesn't know that.
Mm-hmm. In that case, he will say, myself and my... If you can provide us with a small antechamber, myself and my friend here will prepare ourselves. Bring them to us. We will do as you command.
It will be done. He looks at Rytuck and gauges his surprise. Fry channeling his inner northerner, just sort of going, "You what, mate?"
I do not believe I gave you permission to sign away my head. I'm still in the midst of using it.
I was going to say, could this be as they walk into the antechamber and just have a hissy fit at each other? Because that's going to be fucking funny.
Yes, you are all ushered into the antechamber. The lady's eyes just remained locked on you both, unblinking.
No, actually, he will look at her and he will say, "If your highness will forgive me, your daughter, I sense, has questions if she wishes to ask. She knows where to find us. We would be delighted to answer them. Your highness." He walks into the antechamber, at which point he is assaulted by the tuck. I'm going to assume bodily.
I mean,
Please don't be bodily.
gonna walk in.
By the way, Evelyn, before you go, Miriam will just give you a warm smile.
Oh,
Which Evelyn would gladly return.
She'll, you notice she'll whisper to the regent your name.
ooh.
As you go, you
My
just
lords
see.
and ladies, I presume that my presence here is no longer required, and I do have business in the city elsewhere. Would it be all right, my regent, if I would take my leave?
You may take your leave, Lady Orbalion.
Thank you, my lord regent. And she'll curtsy, and she'll curtsy to everyone else, and makes her way out because she has an appointment with Abraham's fountain.
Damn it, I'm here till dawn and can't stop it.
Yeah, I did not want to stay there till dawn. Like, you know, I don't want to piss someone off.
As we walk into the I assume I'm going to get body checked by an angry tuck.
He's not going to be that bad, but it's once the doors close, he's got to be like, is this payback for the brothel and the jackass?
In my defense, I had to burn that brothel afterwards, and no. It's like the old stories. After all, the Caliph would always have your head if you couldn't do the thing. But then again, we are more than capable of doing the thing.
That is true, but what if I suffer some form of stage fright?
You have performance anxiety.
Not really, no.
So shut up.
There's a first time for everything.
So what Famushi does is he brings out his surgeon's tools and he just kind of lays them down on a table. He basically has the servants bring him what looks to be things like you would need for medicine. So like hot water and rose petals, things like that. So he is basically prepared when they bring back the sick, the crippled, and the bastard born to him. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to get. I'm going to get leprosy. There's going to be a lot of leprosy, kids.
Why it have to be leprosy?
Because it's always bloody leprosy. I like to think that they literally just have this like almost, old married couple debate as they're setting up to work. Why is it always it's always fucking leprosy?
Hang on a minute, this isn't a leopard, this is a Nosferatu.
There's not much difference.
To be fair, you can't do anything about the Nosferatu. You can't fix Nosferatu, ugly.
Do we have a Shamisi on speed dial? I know it won't last, but maybe it will last long enough. What's speed dial? I don't know.
But yeah, so Bishop, we just wait. And if Princess Face wants to drop in and ask us a million questions, what is the silence of the blood? I'll answer whatever the fuck she wants, because I can't lie.
I mean, you can just decline to say. That's not lying. That's not bearing false witness. You can just remain silent.
That's fair.
But
also, I kind of want her as a friend.
Yeah, funnily enough, she doesn't enter, no. She remains very much outside, but in a few hours, as we fast forward, and Evelyn is witness to a very, very comical old married couple's argument between the warriors and the healers. You believe this is the reason why the clan split up. This is. I mean, these ideas are really just are incompatible. They shouldn't coexist.
If it helps, about an hour before the people show up, they settle their differences and start playing a rather spirited game of Snap.
It ends in another argument.
Yes.
Look, the Friar just can't deal with the fact that you're better than him at Snap. It sucks. It just
You're using celerity! You're using celerity!
You fucking cheater!
It then follows the next 5 hands where he gets really angry because Famoshi is clearly letting him win.
And Evelyn is just watching, just completely amused by the entire situation.
This is why the Celebria lost, everybody.
Yeah.
This is why the Tremere win.
Why?
They can figure out who wins Snap. It's whoever's the regent. But yes, eventually people are dragged in. I say dragged in. They're walked in. And you are partially correct. Someone suffering from leprosy is brought in.
Haha, knew it.
Called it.
But that's not the only person. 3 people are brought in. There is a victim of leprosy. Some sort of diseased individual who seems to be suffering severe flu-like symptoms. You're not sure if it's a form of flu or maybe something a bit worse. And then someone who appears physically completely fine. And then someone who simply has mundane physical injuries. Broken arm. Sprained ankle. Snapped wrist. Oof. That also creates an external injury, by the way. You're not sure how to manage to do that, but the wound hasn't fully scabbed over and it looks pretty savage. Like as in it's that sort of wound where the bone comes out of the skin.
Compound fracture.
I was going to say that's an awful lot of trauma.
Yeah, that's a horrific amount of trauma.
I'm going to ask, the first, what he's going to do is, you have the crazy guy, I'll do the physical bits. Plans.
Well, what are you going to do about the crazy guy?
I mean, I could. Do you want me? But before he does, he splits them up. So basically, he puts them sitting at different points of the room, so they can basically look them all over one at a time. But yeah, let's go and talk to that guy because that's an awful lot of trauma. So he basically he has him lay down on the bed as himself and the Tuck are kind of standing over him, looking them up now. What's your name, friend? Also, what kind of age demographic is he?
Young male, early 20s.
Okay. Tell me what happens.
Ali.
Okay. Well, Ali, why don't you tell me what happened?
Did you get into a fight with the wall and lose?
Something like that. He speaks very quickly. His mouth is clenched. He's obviously in a lot of pain.
All right. Tell me what happened, and we'll do our best. We need to know so we can set the bone right.
No, we don't. You're just a curious bastard.
Actually,
also-
yeah, that's kind of true. It's not an entirely truthful statement.
It's also because we need to know in case that there's any kind of risk of secondary infection or anything like that, to be fair. Because if you get savaged by an animal, things like tetanus is a thing.
That is true.
That's true. You may have to spend additional blood
Also
to cure any
rabies.
secondary infection.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon, Evelyn?
She said also rabies.
Also rabies.
Also rabies.
All right, then. I will... Basically, are we being watched by guards the whole time we're doing this?
Yes.
Okay. So what he does is, and this is not lying, because once again, if he's actually asked what's in it, he'll have to be honest. He basically walks to each one of the people in turn, whilst the Tuck basically does the more advanced medicinery, as we're going to refer to it as now, because by God, that's what we're calling it. So he basically he gives one of them a small teacher from he has an alchemist pouch on his belt that contains a number of bottles, and he says, "Here, drink this. It will help." He's going to do this for the guy who has the massive amounts of fuck up on his arm first.
Yeah, he has a sprained ankle too. He's having a good day. He kind of, with his one good arm, he'll take it and down it very quickly. He's very careful how he kind of moves his shoulders and his neck, like it's very stiff. Mainly because you think if he moves one part of his body, it may cause his arm and by extension his wrist more pain.
Cool. In that case, Bishop, as he drinks, basically about a minute or so after he drinks it, he and I are going to make a contested willpower roll. Because basically, I'm going to put him to sleep. I will point out, for obvious reasons, my third eye is completely covered whilst I do this. Oh shit, I almost rolled the dice, double dice rolling. That would have been sad. So yeah, whatever this poor unfortunate schmuck's willpower is, difficulty 8.
Okay. Covering up your eye gives you a -1 dice penalty.
That's fine.
And he needs to contest you
I have 3 successes.
You actually have Morphian Blow and Gift of Sleep, yes?
Oh yeah, shit! I get to roll 2 more dice.
So you get 2 additional dice. I'll just let you roll because it's unlikely. I think you just beat him on that dice roll alone. Yeah,
shit.
yeah. He doesn't. He cannot. He cannot. He cannot resist. So he goes clonk.
Alright then. He kind of looks over at the friar and he says, you'll take the lead on this one, yes?
I can do that.
I'll hold him down. Because even when you're unconscious, involuntary spasms are a thing.
Mm-hmm. So what are you gonna do?
Healer's touch.
Okay. Quick note: there are regular human guards in the room.
Oh shit.
Also, the other 2 patients are still awake, I presume.
Mm-hmm. This one is the easiest fix. We can actually just use mundane medicine to fix and set the bones.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Depends what you want to do. Because you could use Healer's Touch, but people will see that. Oh look, there is a red light emanating from your forehead.
Probably
That's
should
odd.
save the blood for the madman.
Yeah, because what I'm going to do with the leper is actually going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to ask everyone to leave because my response is going to be, I'm going to pray with him. Because bear in mind, at this point in time, medicine is half religious wizardry, half medicine. So basically, the prayer is going to be what cures him, nothing to do with me physically.
Hmm.
But yes, so just Dex medicine, I presume, to set the bones?
Yes.
Remember the ability to spend blood is sometimes your friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna sink 2 blood into buffing my dex. Let's do this.
That's 4 successes.
Yes, it is, and that was on the injured person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you begin to you make a lot of progress pretty quickly. It's a nasty. I was going to say it was going to be Diff 7 because of the nature of the wound, but you got 7, 7, 8, 9, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, you quickly get to work setting the bone back into place, and stemming any residual bleeding and cleaning up any possibility for infection in the wound. It is not a painless. It is not a well. It wouldn't have been a painless process, but the guy was just chunked to sleep, so he doesn't feel a damn thing. And you're able to put the wound back into a much better spot. You're also able to more or less just completely fix his sprained ankle. Might be a little bit painful, might be a little bit fragile to walk on, but you've managed at least to put the sprained ankle on a very rapid path to recovery. The external fracture you think is going to take, even if your progress, probably a good few weeks, maybe even a couple months, because the wound is very, very severe. But it is in a position where it can now begin recovering without necessarily any concerning deformities, and can heal naturally. The main issue is actually is the wound itself. The external fracture still existed by the time he got to the. By the time this guy got to the palace, so he was probably in this state for quite a while. In fact, it's quite impressive he didn't just pass out from shock.
Bishop, does this wound say anything to us? Like, this seems like it might be something that's unnatural, or rather, that was caused by something unnatural. Is there anything that makes us stop and go, "Her"?
It doesn't look unnatural, but he has a lot of bruises on his person as well. You treat those, and they're not difficult to treat. You imagine he was in a pretty significant fight. He was probably in a street fight of some kind. A really brutal one, though. Like, this was savage. Like, he had external fractures. He had wounds all over his body. He had sprained his ankle in the fight. This is a very rough street brawl, you think?
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have a little chit chat with him when he wakes up, because he's going to be out for. Let's be realistic. Let's say we actually probably started this whole procedure relatively early in the evening. Obviously, the regent was still awake, so we probably started just after sundown, being conservative. So he's going to wake up in about 8 hours. So he'll probably wake up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So we may get a chance to talk to him before he fucks off. Yeah, with that one done, he turns to the guards and says, "The other two patients, we require time to pray with them. Would you please give us the room, gentlemen? It would be uncouth for others to listen in to their prayers."
Roll me charisma expression.
Okay.
Difficulty 8.
It's now difficulty 7 or it's now difficulty 6 because of enchanting voice.
Yes.
I noticed that you have it on your fucking Bruja. Never leave home without that shit.
I don't. I really don't. If I'm playing a social character, they always take
I
a shot.
think Evie is the only one that doesn't have it.
Does he?
Irene doesn't have it either.
Wait, she's a social character without?
That's 3 total successes with a willpower spent.
Okay. 3 successes is enough. Faye.
And to help with this, Evan would also, exit the room.
That actually helps convince them, because obviously they're having to choose between what they were ordered to do and the sort of a matter of official religious respect. But
yeah, Evelyn would
which
take
they're
their
like,
arms.
would this also anger the regent? Like, if we listened in on someone's prayers like this, like, these seems a bit improper as well. Like, so
Evelyn would take them each by an arm and step out of the room as well.
okay, I'll follow you. Yeah.
As she realizes
So it's
probably something to do with, gifts of the blood, and we should probably not let mortals see that, so.
So what I'm definitely going to do is going to get a little bit gory. The Tuck is more of a... The Tuck's one is the actual one where he has to deal with a madness, so, this one's going to get a bit gory. So what he does is, Famoshi basically walks up to the man with the leprosy, and he does kneel down with him, and he does start to pray. As he does so, what he's doing is he's putting a poultice that basically looks like it's basically just green herbs that have been mashed together, mixed with some mercury. It actually has no curative value whatsoever. It's just to give the appearance of him doing something. And then what he does is he is going to pray with him. But what he does is he embraces him very close at the end of the prayer. Whilst basically, I'm going to do this in tandem whilst the Tuck is doing his thing. The reason being is I'm embracing him whilst I'm activating the power, so my face is directly facing away from him, so he can't see the brief red shining light, if that makes sense.
Okay. What about the other patient?
Okay, so
Because obviously one may witness what you're doing.
Not when his soul's in the top body, he won't. Actually, you know what? No, screw it. I'll just. It's just easier for sake of point. I will pray with him, but I am just going to put him to sleep.
Okay.
So, for sake of ease. You know what? Fuck it, because I actually think these are high difficulty rolls, and actually, no, I can't. Buggeration. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 successes to put this chap to sleep.
What's the... They will get a chance to roll against that, but they don't resist. They always do, though.
Oof. Oof. Yeah, so when he falls asleep, and Neriel just picks him up very, very gently and puts him laying on the bed, at which point he will pray, and people outside will hear him praying because he's not being quiet or circumspect about it. But yeah, he will wait to do his thing until the Tuck does his thing so that there are no witnesses, basically. So I give it over to the Tuck to do the big, important, showy thing that our clan do really well.
yes, time to consume soul. Wow, 2 willpower. This is expensive.
Oh yeah, this is you know what? You have to spend 2 willpower and roll stamina plus empathy, difficulty of 10 minus the subject's road rating. So I'm going to roll this person's road rating. Wow, they're a fucking saint.
They're more saintly than I am.
Yeah, they're a better person than you are.
Tuck, this is your first ghoul. That is all I choose to say. Legit, your first ghoul.
He's just got to consume this man. And then after he's like, I need you.
Fair. I mean,
How low can the difficulty get?
it's 3 minimum, but like this is one of those roles where it's variable to kind of like dominate, where like dominates difficulty is equal to your opponent's temporary willpower, which can go lower than 3, because obviously willpower can be 2 and 1. But if it's 10 minus 9, that basically means every dice you roll is a success. So you can't fail, I think.
I hope so. Because I'm shit at stamina.
Let's see. They may attempt to roll willpower.
This reminds me of the scene from that one where it's like, you are being saved. Please do not resist.
They're not going to. Not yet, at least.
I'm also going to spend 1 willpower, so I definitely have at least 1 success.
Okay. This
Like
is
I need
interesting.
no bothered.
So you can hold the soul, but you need to spend another 5 willpower points in order to affect it.
I do not. That is only if I want to change their virtues. It says you may expend additional willpower 1 per to cure the subject's derangements. So 1 willpower per derangement.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. So you understand, let's see, you also begin to understand this person's philosophy and morality by taking in the soul. You see almost no degeneration whatsoever.
What?
Like, you see almost no degeneration within the soul whatsoever. In fact, the soul is so pure, it is purer than your own. In fact, you believe you've run into a very, very rare mortal who is purer than most humans and Canaanites alike. There's not really much mentally to heal. Although you do notice one thing.
Go on.
One second as I find it. As you begin to examine their soul, you do see a small crack in the dreamlike state in which you view it in. As you examine this imperfection in their being, the crack itself is animate. It kind of wriggles and writhes a little bit. It changes. You kind of see into their mind and their past. You understand that they've been afflicted with Caesar's disease.
Oh, they have epilepsy.
Because that's considered a derangement in this game.
That's really offensive.
Yeah, just a wee little bit.
I think it's from a Dark Ages standpoint that people are fucking ignorant, so...
Valid. But yeah, you can fix the hole.
Time to expend the willpower and fill in the hole with Flex Seal. He just gets a bottle of polyfill of like mental polyfiller out. Right, time to fill the crack.
Yes, you spend the willpower. Which is fairly exhausting at this point.
Oh, it is. That's most of my willpower gone.
You find yourself very tired.
How much willpower does the Tuck have?
5.
Oh dear, we need to raise that.
That's 4. That's 4 spent. He has 1 left.
Yours is only 1 higher than Evelyn, who has dependent personality disorder.
Hooray! As you begin mending the wound in this person's mind, and it takes you a good while to do. It's never a simple process healing a soul.
I feel like when the guards come back in, the 2 people are going to be fine, and Araniel's going to be fine, but the Tuck is just going to be passed out on the floor.
But you do manage to heal them, heal their soul, heal their mind. So you, I presume, release the soul back into their body.
Whilst he's doing that, Araniel will spend the requisite, I believe it's 3 blood, and he is not going to heal the outward signs of the leprosy, really the actual. Okay, how fucked up physically has the leprosy fucked this individual?
It's pretty severe at this point.
All right. One of the main things that leprosy does is it destroys the digits on the hand and the feet.
Yeah. It's gotten pretty bad on this guy.
Famoshi is going to feel pity, and what he does is, I will spend the extra to do it. So he'll do this exactly 3 times. He'll heal the underlying symptoms, he's going to wrap this guy's hands in bandages, and then he is going to heal both of his hands to the point where the hands are physically viable again. Because he doesn't want to send him out basically so horribly broken into a world that's so horrible to cripples. This might come back to bite me in the ass later, but, you know, it's what the character would do.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you heal him while he's asleep.
When the guards eventually return to drag us back to the Regent for "Did you do it or are we being beheaded?" once again, they're playing a very angry game of Snap.
The Tux is very tired during this game of Snap. There's it's a very unenthusiastic Snap on his side.
At one point, he just randomly goes, "Go fish."
What's the Tuck's nature and demeanor?
He is. His nature is celebrant. His demeanor is guru.
Damn it, I thought one of them was caregiver, in which case you'd have gotten so much willpower.
It's all about his religion.
Oh well.
Just afterwards, he's going to be just walking away like, I think I'm just going to go preach to someone.
I need a good preaching. Need it in my bones.
But no. The guards come back in, and they will ask you if you are done.
There's a very silent nod.
Evelyn would also come back in at this point and reattach the little silk tether between the two of them.
Yay, my seeing eye, Evie. I've got a question though. Does Evie evolve into a Flareon?
No.
Oh.
Well, actually, yes, because Flareon is the worst of all evolutions.
How dare you? How absolutely dare you?
I mean, I'm not wrong. Flareon sucks.
Is it all about the Vaporeon?
More of an Espeon guy.
Ugh, but that one looks fucking away with you. Continue, sorry.
Because it can't. Umbreon's pretty cool. And Sylveon's pretty good. Basically, all of them are good apart from Flareon. Although Glaceon and Leafeon are pretty... Oh, I'm going to continue the scene.
Yes, let's get back to the scene and, stop ranting about Pokemon.
Try to catch him on STDs.
Don't do that. The Tuck only has so much willpower.
The guards will tell you they've been asked to monitor the condition of these people over the next few days, so they'll return them to their homes then. Unless you, of course, interfere.
They move to do what? Sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
They've been told by the Regent to monitor these people's conditions over the next few nights.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So they're going to whisk them away. But before going, I will say that you've been given permission to depart from the palace from the Regent.
Well, we're going to talk to the guy who got his shit beat in.
Yes.
Yes. He will say, before we do, I need to wake one of our patients so I can have a private word with him just to make sure everything is acceptable. we'll bring him out to you in a few moments. I want to just make sure he has enough pain management for the next few days.
I will allow you to do so.
So very gently, Famushi kind of doesn't shake him awake, but very gently kind of eases him back to consciousness. Wake up.
He slowly wakes up.
I trust you're feeling better.
Yeah, a lot better, thank you very much. He looks very
What happened?
surprised.
What happened to you, my child?
Riverside happened.
Riverside? I thought that the gang problems in Riverside were subsiding.
Only on the south and centre side.
Why? What's happening in the north, my child?
The north, I don't know, I don't go there much, but the north's still ran by the Vorstedt, and they run a pretty tight ship over the area. I know most of the time we can't even get in.
So where did this happen to you?
East side.
And who did it?
I'm not sure if you've heard of the man, but I work with a guy called Father Thomas. He has a small church. No one that's been horribly overshadowed. Close to the east side of Riverside. In spite of his age and his habits, Thomas is, let's just say he's quite spirited. He's been one of the few bastions against the Sons of Paul for some time.
The Sons of what, sir?
Let me double check. Let me double check my own setting.
Nelson, dear,
Brothers of Paul.
stop being awkward.
What?
Just Nelson once again being cringeworthy in one of my chats.
Oh. Me.
Beg your pardon?
Brothers of Paul have been trying to tear down his chapel for some time. You know, me and all of the Tempest have always been there to make sure Thomas is never alone, to be honest. Thomas helps us a lot more than we help him. He's, well, prior to Riverside being remade and this new hospital being constructed, he was probably pretty much the only place we could ever go to for medical treatment. I mean, it was still largely just us
Right.
lying on the floor with some rags, but it was something.
Friar, I feel that we should go and extend a hand of friendship to this noble priest and prevent his flock from being so damaged. Would you not agree?
Sounds like the best course of action.
You could even say mass if you want. You do love a good mass.
I do enjoy myself a good mass.
That's like the most Father Ted reference we've ever made. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I believe his name was Fat Thomas. I think we're going to get along.
But I believe with that, if you're both comfortable, we can end the scene now.
Cool.
In which case, thank you, players for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.